Right. Okay. So the movie starts off in this underground fighting lair situation, and okay, that's fucking Post Malone. My God. Okay. I guess bro is just simply out here doing all the side quests. You see, he's kind of beating the crap out of this guy. I reckon his power really originates from his belly. Low center of mass, low center of gravity. Bam, bam. Just really siphons the power straight through the knuckles. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyway, we see this mystery man get out of his car. He enters the ring. They try to wrap his fingers up, but he's not about it. He simply likes it raw. He likes to go in raw. He likes the feel. It just slides and it feels better. So it turns out that's Jake Gyllenhaal, aka Elwood Dalton. Now Post Malone is looking extremely confident in his fighting abilities at first, until he realizes that this character over here has got some crazy abs. That's right, we're talking abdominal muscles from head to toe. He's got the obliques, he's got the interrectus abdominis, he's got the he's got 2, 4, 6, 8 packs, and we're not talking beer. Posty's absolutely in a shake. Posty's absolutely in a state of complete and utter flabbergastement. He's shook, essentially. So he chats with his buddy and quickly realizes just who Elwood is. Turns out he's an ex-UFC fighter, which means he's got punches, he's got knees, he's got kicks, he's got elbows. He's got he can take your knee ligaments away from you and not return them. So basically, Posty immediately chickens out. He does not want the smoke, and he's just cursing up the whole building. Everyone's laughing at him, but he's like, yeah, trust me, why don't you guys fight him? You fight this guy. But of course, nobody steps up, meaning the one who gets the cash pool prize at the end is Elwood, and he didn't even have to fight anybody. Pretty smart way of making money, I gotta say. Okay, now unfortunately things don't go perfectly after the fact, because as he's on his way out, Elwood encounters this angry dude who bet all his money on the fights, just lost it all, extremely fiscally irresponsible. I mean, you might as well just buy a picture of a monkey or whatever the fuck we're doing these days. So yeah, anyway, this guy's really pissed off. So this is a perfectly normal interaction here, but he's gonna go ahead and stab Elwood. That's okay. Elwood's going to catch the blade using his internal organs. Now, this is actually a Krav Maga technique taught in the UFC. Really, it's kind of a power move, which is going to leave the attacker basically in a state of enshrookment. So he's going to walk away, leaving our boy Elwood with the knife as a souvenir, which he will cherish greatly till the end of his days. Now, what happens next is this chick, Frankie, walks up. She's initially concerned about the stabbing, but Elwood eases her nerves with a little educational demonstration. We see that a little bit of duct tape and positive thinking can fix anything, including a fatal wound. Anyway, we learned that this is how Elwood makes his money. Not stabbing, not getting stabbed, but doing these fights where he comes out on top and gets all the money. Anyway, this chick starts yapping about some bar she owns, yada yada yada. There's some bad guys. Who gives a shit? We're here to see some people get fucked up. We're here to see some fighting. But to make a long story short, it is the Roadhouse, the name of the movie. It's the place where things are about to go down. Elwood, to start, is like, I'm good. I don't want to do this. It's too early in the movie. I'm not supposed to come in yet. We have a couple more scenes to go before I actually, go ahead and join. So she leaves him a piece of paper with the details. Anyway, he goes off. He drives off to take a nap, heal his wounds. He's Wolverine, I guess. He just needs like a little nap. He'll be good. He gets really awoken, moves over to a new spot. This spot's looking really good, in fact. Just at the last moment, he decides, not quite my speed. And, at that moment, he's like, oh, okay, that must be a sign from any higher power if they exist. Let me go talk to Frankie and get this job and get this movie, underway. So he pulls up to town. He meets these locals. This little chick owns a bookstore. There's some like stupid book about the town, whatever. He finds the Roadhouse, gets some coffee. This dude has a little fanboy moment over him. He watches UFC, very cool. As the night progresses, we get our usual kind of bar fights and shenanigans. And then our first bad guy, our first big bad of the movie, pulls up. This guy especially has a giant stick up his ass. He's throwing shit on the floor. He's harassing patrons. And he's hitting on the ladies non-consensual style. I mean, just a all-around nasty poopy pants individual. Now, Fanboy walks up, but they threaten to give him another black eye because apparently there's been some prior altercations with these individuals. In steps Elwood with a very wide grin, very smiley, but despite his charm, the bad guys remain in a bad mood. In fact, this guy is over here already getting more sticks ready just to stick right up his ass. And Elwood actually starts asking about their bikes while walking outside, and they get really scared that he's going to go f their bikes, so they go follow him. And, turns out part of his plan. He just wants to get them outside. Now, Elwood's actually a really chill dude. He starts asking them like, hey, okay, hey man, you got insurance? You got dental? I'm about to fuck up your teeth. Is there a hospital nearby? No one answers him until this guy does.
25 minutes, I'd say.
This guy's actually very helpful, very funny, comedic relief. Hopefully Elwood breaks his bones last. So anyway, the beatdown commences. Act 1, we have a slippity, a slappity, slappity, slappery-roo. So there's a lot of slaps going around, and Elwood puts his UFC skills to good use. He's punching and clapping cheeks, and then even the comic relief character, unfortunately, gets his shit all snapped up. But, you know, like I told you, Elwood was a stand-up guy. Here we can see him driving all the goons to the hospital. And he even tells the doctors their injuries. I mean, he had to know after all, because he dished them out. Fortunately, our boy gets patched up as well, after the smoking hot nurse spots his spaghetti juice spot. They had a bit of a pointless conversation moments ago, and she's reasonably attractive, so I'm going to go ahead and guess she's an important character, because why else would she be here? And of course, Mr. Tough Guy refuses stitches. Stupid, but I respect it. Later, Frankie offers Elwood a place to sleep, her old rinkety-dinkety boat, and apparently, I kid you not, there's a crocodile that lives nearby, and apparently ate a neighbor's Pomeranian, so we'll just chalk that up to an occupational hazard. But it's all good. Elwood slumbers off and dreams about his old UFC days. Fun fact, this really happened. Like, they brought Jake Gyllenhaal out to do this during an actual live UFC card. I was there. I was not there. I was watching it illegally alone in my room. Now, I can only imagine how bamboozled the drunk people were, because this shit is bonkers. Now, in the morning, Elwood's co-worker, formerly known as Big Chungus the Third, greets Elwood the only way she knows how, with food, my type of lady. Then there's another useless scene with this bookstore chick. We learn that her mom died. I'm not sure if this is relevant to the plot. I don't think so. So we're just gonna not care about that. And then also Elwood now has local celebrity status, as everyone around town seems to be starting to recognize him, including some more goons, which the bookstore chick scares away with her baseball bat. Now back at the Roadhouse, Elwood gets further recognized, and Frankie informs him that this is quite the gossipy town, which is not a good thing because Elwood is not trying to win any popularity contests. Unwanted attention is never a good thing. So I stopped showing my face on this channel. I mean, you guys are fucking psychos. Cut to the bad guys gossiping about Elwood. We meet the boss man, Ben Brandt, who actually isn't even the boss man. He's actually just the son of the boss man. So essentially, we're going to call that boss man Junior. Anyway, he's screaming at his henchmen for being so incompetent, and while getting shaved during a bumpy boat ride. I don't know why he's doing this. It's just a completely irresponsible. I mean, he's gonna get nicked. There it is. He's getting nicked. But you know, somehow he insists for the barber to continue with a loose hand. I don't know how a loose hand is really gonna help. This is just, you're really not thinking this one through. I think you got a loose head on your shoulders, perhaps, buddy. But even after like 3 times, he doesn't realize how dumb this is. But fortunately, he actually doesn't get his neck slashed. Instead, he goes ahead and has a word with the captain, and that's able to smoothen the ride with a short conversation. They just have a short chat about it, and everything is taken care of. Anyway, back at the Roadhouse, this band starts playing church music, and this guy just is not jamming with it. In fact, he's a moderator of /r/atheism, you know, the Reddit subreddit. He starts swinging and banging, and Elwood mentors Fanboy on how to deal with this particular case. He warns him that he has a knife, but I watched this video once on YouTube, how to defend yourself from a knife, and it's exactly like this, my boy. So this way you're gonna take a step back, and bam, just gonna punch him, and that actually works. And I honestly, the most shocking part about that is that the atheist was trying to send him to heaven. I think that's the craziest part, if you ask me personally. Now later, Elwood continues this trend of not actually doing his job and just having these kids do it. So he finds another recruit. He sees this dude with like just scarred up knuckles. I don't think that's normal. I don't think that's normal, dude. You got to get that checked out. But anyway, apparently this makes him perfect for the job. He's been beating his wife on the side, and as such, he has the marks to prove it. So that's good enough for Elwood. And after another successful night of having the best job ever, because everyone else is doing his job, Elwood steps out and spots the evil biker gang from earlier, back for revenge, and probably to make their boss proud. But first, before that, we must have another cringy UFC flashback.
Man, this guy makes me laugh because he's a fucking joke.
That was not funny. That was not funny. I'm sorry. Goddamn. Bro is jacked even when he's asleep. I know that doesn't make sense, but I feel like the guy could at least give it a rest at nighttime. You know, there's no way. I mean, bro flexes himself to sleep or something. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, Elwood goes for breakfast and spots, guess who? The hottie I predicted would be the important character.
Conk.
Whoa, let the man have breakfast first, please. Besides some flirting, nothing important happens here, so let's just go ahead and skip on ahead a bit. Oh Christ, he almost gets ran over again. How many vehicle-related incidents per hour is this man moving at? You need a speeding ticket for that, mister. Fortunately, Elwood survives, and these dummies lost a whole truck in the process. Good job. Elwood swims back to his boat and encounters his arch nemesis. Elwood keeps it cool as a cucumber to disarm his foe, with some swift moves and an unexpected but welcome assist from Croc Bro. The evildoer is dispatched for good, because he was eaten by the crocodile. Now, also during the scuffle, we learned that the beef is not with Elwood, but with the Roadhouse, which is the name of the movie, so that makes sense. Now, whatever probably illegal operation Brant has going on, the Roadhouse must be in its way. Now, in the aftermath, Elwood does more yapping with Frankie and the bookstore girl about the Roadhouse. He's trying to uncover the mystery, but you're not Sherlock Holmes, bro. You're here for your muscles, not your brains. Give it a rest. On his way out, Elwood is stopped by another gun-toting goon. They want him to talk to Boss Man Jr. Brant, but Elwood instead snaps this guy's trigger finger. And then the backup goon is like, you know what, they don't pay me enough for this. I'm going back in the car. Back to Boss Man Jr., he can't believe all his henchmen are getting clapped this easily. Then he gets a call from jail. It's gotta be his dad. But he throws his phone into the ocean instead. Littering plus stupid. He instantly regrets it and tells his henchmen to go swim after him. Okay, now for what we've all actually been waiting for from this movie. Conor McGregor. That's right, the Notorious. So we see him here. He's actually just hopped out of a window. He just got done clapping this man's wife, and she's in love. She's smitten for him, and he's out here double cheeked up on a Wednesday. Both of his clappers are out, and those things are clapping. So he immediately goes and finds this guy. He likes his jacket. He pulls a little Terminator and is like, okay, this is my jacket now. Headbutts him. Somehow, that immediately, actually, I almost forgot to tell you, he's on the phone. He's actually on the phone with Boss Man Jr.'s dad, the real Boss Man. So anyway, he gets that jacket. We immediately cut to, suddenly everything's being on fire. Apparently, women and children are being burned alive. There's a whole situation going on. I'm not sure if Conor McGregor caused this, but here we are. And then bam, we cut back to Elwood Dalton. Now, a little bit creepy, but the nurse lady just kind of pulls up on a boat that she happens to have. Apparently, it's her ex's boat that she just stole. And here we are. So she takes him to a nice, romantic, secluded sandbar in the middle of the ocean. And she starts asking him the usual questions that women do. What was the name of your first pet? What is your mother's maiden name? You know, all these kind of things. So Elwood immediately recognizes, oh, she's trying to get to know me. This is like a date. Uh-oh, I don't want to be on a date. He walks away immediately, and he pulls kind of the tough guy act where he's like, oh, you don't want me. I've got a bad past. I'm a bad man. You know, I don't deserve, whatever. You know, that type of bullshit. And she's just like, oh, you don't tell me what I want. And, you know, she's a strong, independent lady. So she actually gets right after what she wants. She closes in, bam. They exchange a mouth hug, and that's all she wrote. We can only assume clapping ensues after. Now, we immediately cut over to her bringing Elwood back to the dock, where he's immediately greeted by some fine gentlemen in blue. I'm talking police officers. Things aren't looking good. Ellie has a spooked look on her face, and we see that Elwood gets taken in a car. Some shady figure enters the car and starts starting Elwood. He's like, listen, man, I really would appreciate it if you got out of town. And this is, in fact, this is not a suggestion. I'll actually kill you. And so that's not good, you know. Elwood thinks it's a joke, though. Elwood thinks it's all fun and games. So the man rips him out of the car, beats him up a little bit, and then pulls a gun to his face. He's about to blast all over his face, and it's not going to be a fun time for Elwood. But fortunately, Ellie, holy shit, she just pulls up, punches the police officer guy in the face. Girl power moment, if, you know, to say the least. So it turns out that that man is actually her father. And I guess he's like the police chief, and he used to work for Brant and the other evil, illegal bad guys. So he's in cahoots with them. So that's what that was all about. Now we cut back to Knox pulling up to Boss Man Jr., aka Ben Brant's house. And immediately he's greeted by Huel of Breaking Bad fame. And wow, Connor's got quite the attitude on him. I mean, Knox has quite the attitude. And he comes in like this is his place, and he just starts eating sandwiches. He just cannot stop eating the sandwiches. It's delicious. It's frankly delicious. And Huel is upset because that was his sandwich. That was his meal. He's bulking. He's in a bulking phase. He needs to get those calories in on a timely manner. And so we get our first kind of scuffle featuring Conor McGregor. Then we immediately cut. We see that Huel has been knocked out. He's been hit in the head. He's nursing a boo-boo. Now, Ben Brandt is like, who the hell is this guy? Who the fuck is that guy? That was really bad. That was bad. Anyway, Knox informs Brandt that he basically sucks his job and his father sent him to take care of business. And Brandt is all upset about this. He doesn't like his intrusion. Conor, though, eases his worries. He shows him a very kind Irish greeting. And this is actually a way in their culture to show solidarity or whatever the fuck. So Knox is basically like, I'm going to kill this guy. We're going in. And Brandt's like, no, actually, let's not do that. Let's do this things a little bit more quietly. Give me one more chance. And Knox seems to agree, at least for the time being. Now, I predict that Knox, in fact, is just going to go loose cannon and do whatever he wants, and we're going to find out. Okay, so first on the agenda, we have the poor bookstore. So these goons pull up. They got gasoline. That's not looking good. And the poor girl is commanded by her father to run out the back, but she says, no, I have a baseball bat. I'm going to stick this one out. Unfortunately, we don't get to see what happens. Most likely, they both die in a very painful, excruciating, fire-related death. We cut to Mr. Elwood Dalton at the bar, where Ben Brandt is sitting beside him looking extremely dapper. He's got that shit on. Now, the two get to chatting, and Brandt realizes, I can't threaten you. I probably can't bribe you, which, by the way, Elwood gets a bit of a look that kind of suggests, actually, you could maybe bribe me. I'm actually really in need of financial assistance at this moment. But Brandt immediately continues on to a new strategy where he whips out his phone, and he shows Elwood footage from his last UFC fight, where he just kept pounding on this guy, even when the referee was trying to rip him off of him. And it turns out that man Elwood was fighting died. Elwood killed him. He punched him to death. And if you guys didn't know, that's actually against the rules in UFC. It's one of the lesser known rules. It's actually, people debate whether or not it should really stay in the rule book. But nonetheless, that's what caused him to get kicked out of the UFC. And it's his dark past that he's been alluding to. It's why he didn't want to date Ellie and all that nonsense. So Brandt just kind of leaves him with that blast from the past, shakes him up a little bit. Then he just walks away, and we see on his way out that Frankie actually runs up towards him and is like, oh, what are you doing? What are you doing here? Your suit looks like shit. Which I think is uncalled for. I don't think she's in the position to be making those kind of statements about his fashion sense. But we also spot that Knox is outside. And Knox is ready. In fact, he's ready to go clubbing. You see, Conor's full of puns in this movie. It's kind of his main shtick. So he goes in with the crew, the same crew from earlier, from the first night, minus the guy that was eaten by the crocodile, of course. And Knox is immediately swinging that shit around. He's hitting on women. He steals this man's girlfriend. And this is actually an effective way to pick up ladies. So as we can see, it works. Knox is terrorizing the poor band, but they continue playing. And things just continue to escalate into a full-blown bar fight. Now, you would think that Elwood would, step up and do his job. But as we've seen so far in this movie, he's just really, really not interested in working at all. So the kids, his underlings, we can say, go in and try to take on Knox. But Knox is just too powerful. He's too strong, and he just messes their shit up really bad. At this point, it's just complete and utter mayhem. Besides the band, and especially this old man shaking the balls around, whatever this instrument is called, he's just chugging on. He's just keeping the vibe going. As we can see, the whole place is basically totaled, and Elwood is still actually just chilling, just completely nonchalant drinking, until Knox starts to call him. He starts shouting, "Dalton, where are you, Dalton?" He just starts shouting and shouting. Elwood finally gets up, and he's like, okay, I guess I can do my job now. Kind of messed up because everyone is extremely injured. The whole bar is totaled. But now it's time for the main event of the evening. Knox gets really up close and personal, and provides another, and then shows Elwood what his forehead smells like. But he does it really fast, and it actually hurts Elwood. So at this point, they start fighting UFC style. There's lots of punches and knees, and it's looking very exciting. There's lots of hazards in the environment. There's this boat in the air, so it's a very chaotic scene. And then At one point, Elwood does get apprehended by 2 other goons, and Knox just starts wailing on him, unloading, and Elwood is just taking it on the chin. He's taking every shot like a champ. You can tell he's been in the industry with the way he's taking these full loads, full force really, like it's an average afternoon for him. And you can tell Knox is very impressed by this. And then the roles actually get reversed, which is actually one of my favorite search terms, role reversal. So we see that now Knox is apprehended and he's the one taking the shots. And we get to find out, can he take it like he gives it? It's a pretty intense back and forth, but things eventually settle down. They're both outside and Knox seems to respect Elwood. He says something's wrong with you, but there's something wrong with me too. And I'm thinking if this was another time, another place, this could have been the start of a really fruitful bromance. But unfortunately, they are mortal enemies. But Elwood he just kind of walks away. Literally, I guess the fight's over. I mean, it doesn't really make any sense, but he just decides, okay, I'm kind of done with this entire situation. And Knox as well. Knox is like, my job here was to kill you, but I will actually allow you to walk away safe and sound. In the aftermath, Frankie visits Elwood in the boat, and she's just kind of shocked that he's quitting. He's skipping town. He says he never signed up for this. He didn't know there was basically this entire goofy-ass mafia after him. And she's pleading with him to stay. Apparently Bran is really just trying to build a bunch of resorts in the area, and the Roadhouse is the final holdout, and that's why they're trying to take out the Roadhouse. Frankie calls him a big chicken, a big scaredy pussycat chicken. And in tough guy fashion, Elwood is like, you know what, I am scared, and you'll never understand how scared I really am. Now I'm gonna guess this is some tough guy shit, like, I'm scared what I'm capable of if I get really angry. When I start seeing red, MFers better watch out. So I'm gonna guess it's kind of that kind of situation. Now I guess later on his way to leaving town, he spots the bookstore and he sees that it's on fire. It's the charred remains are all that is left. And he goes in and he asks, hey, where's the girl? Where's the dad that worked here? And he learns that they were hospitalized. And yes, they were only side characters, but we did have a few scenes where we got to learn about them, and we built up some feelings for them. So it's appropriate to feel sad about this. But at the same time, we only kind of care about these side characters enough to give them kind of a 2-minute scene here. So we're actually going to move on straight ahead to Elwood walking over to Bran's headquarters. I don't know how he found this place. How does he know about this place? Like, this is never explained. He just walks here. He just walks here because the henchman is like, oh, I didn't hear any cars. Where'd you come from? Elwood's like, yeah, I have 2 legs. I walked. I mean, so many questions here. So many questions. So Elwood starts explaining to this guy like, hey, listen, I would have left. I was about to leave. I was in the process of leaving. And you had to go and do that to my best buddy, the bookstore girl. And the henchman's like, oh, so we did scare you off, huh? We did it, huh? You are scared, huh? And Elwood confirms my suspicions. He says, actually, before he says this, he actually walks up, punches the man in the throat, and then whips out some Dr. House knowledge. He's like, I just collapsed your trachea, and now your right lung is collapsing, and now you can't breathe. And then the guy falls in the pool and starts to die. And that's when Elwood says, you're right, I am scared. I'm scared of what I can do. Which it's like, come on, man. Whatever, bro. Now, on his way out, Elwood makes sure to take the body with him, and we get our favorite comic relief character. He's like, wow, that must be really heavy. Good for you. You must be really strong. And he just kind of plays it off. He's like, I didn't know that these guys were so bad. I thought this was just like a biker crew. I was just trying to find some friends to bike around with, and it's very hard in South Florida to do that without a group. Also, quick rewind, in the last bar fight, he had a hilarious little scene.
Oh, hey man, good to see you.
I mean, what an amicable guy. What a friendly foe. But anyway, Elwood takes this body back to his boat, and he takes a nap and has another flashback about the UFC, and we get to see what really happens when this guy gets angry, when he gets scared, as he says, or, what he does that causes him to be scared. He goes sicko mode on this guy, punches him many times in the head, which I know what you're thinking, isn't that his job description? It is, but this is one too many punches and the guy died. So he wakes up all scared, and then we can see the body of the guy he killed. And really the best joke I can come up with here is he's chilling. He's actually just chilling out here. So somehow Elwood teleports over to the exact place where the dirty cops are. I don't know how, whatever. And he spots this cop who conveniently has this box full of money. Now this is the point where I would actually, if I was Elwood, I would exit the movie. I would take this money and remove myself from the rest of the plot line. But Elwood's a good guy, so he drags out the frozen body, he shoots it a bunch of times to frame the officer, and the officer correctly points out, that doesn't make any sense because the forensics are going to show, yada yada. And Elle was like, dude, I punch people for a living. I've been punched a few times myself, so this is the best I got. And also, I'm going to punch you in the head now because this concussion I'm about to give you is going to make you forget the last few minutes. So, you know, you're not going to be able to tell anybody anything about me. And I got to give props to the movie to actually accurately showing what a concussion would do. Because in most movies, you know, people get hit, they fall asleep, and it's just like a little nap. And they're out for like an hour. Motherfucker, that's a coma. You don't come back from those. But anyway, the guy gets hit, and then Elwood walks off and does an anonymous tip to the police on this payphone. Okay, fast forward a bit, and the police chief waddles up to Elwood's boat, and he's like, "Hey, this is crazy, but they kidnapped my daughter, so I'm gonna need your help on this. You know, if you care about my daughter, I know you guys only met once. Actually, I don't know that. I probably don't know that detail, but yeah, if you could help, that'd be great because Brant wants his money back." And Dalton's like, "Wait a second, how does he know? Because I knocked out that guard." Well, it turns out the guard remembered everything. The whole short-term memory loss thing didn't happen. I don't know why they talked about that before. I mean, I thought it was pretty cool that they were gonna break that cliche, but I guess not. So the guy remembers, and now Elwood needs to go rescue the peoples, and by the peoples I mean Ellie. And Ellie, apparently she's on a boat. She's on a boat that Brant owns just in the middle of the ocean. And somehow, just like before, Elwood is going to receive that information through perhaps 5G, perhaps the 5G network. He's just going to know intuitively where to go. He's also going to intuitively know where Ellie keeps her boat, which I think I mentioned before. Well, isn't her boat? It's her ex's boat, who happens to be a cop. So he's just going to know where that is, and he's going to go there. And he's also going to just know where the key is, and the key's hidden in the boat. He's just going to know that detail and find it really quickly. So that's really cool. Ex-boyfriend's really upset about this. He's like, "Hey, please don't leave a scratch on the boat at the very goddamn least." And Elwood's like, "Bro, it's a boat. I'm on the water. There's not going to be a scratch." Which, you know, fair play. That's actually a very astute observation. So Elwood drives over to the enemy boat where he finds Brant and the police chief already there. I mean, bro, how? First of all, how are you there so quickly? And he's comfortable too, so it looks like he's been here a while. So they get to chatting, and Elwood very quickly deduces that I don't think Ellie's been kidnapped at all because police chief is looking very comfortable. Turns out it was a trap. It was a double-crossing bamboozlement. And police chief's like, "Of course they didn't kidnap Ellie." But then Brant is like, actually, I did. Not even kidding. This actually happens. Doesn't make any sense, but he's like, "Oh, you know, I don't know if I could trust you or not, even though we've been working together for God knows how long." So police chief pulls out the gun. Things are getting crazy. Oh my God, what's happening? Is that? Oh my God, it's Knox. Knox is on the way here too. He's on the boat. He's speeding. What are we gonna do? Now Elwood pulls off something beautiful. Now, if I gave you 1,000 guesses, you would not predict what is about to happen next. Bro pulls out this little device, presses the button, and yeah, I don't know. Bro's when did this happen? Bro's a pyrotechnician now. When did you put the bomb here? What are you talking about? And so much for not leaving a scratch on this thing. But okay, sure. Immediate plan of action. Elwood runs down, punches a few guys, and he's searching for Ellie. Which, you know, for the record, is she even really kidnapped? Like, if it was me, I would just be like, dude, I don't know what to believe, and I need to survive here. But Elwood's a better man than me, so he dives down, he swims underneath. He finds her, she's trying to break the glass. This other dude comes in, tries to shoot them, but, you know, they get saved by convenient timing, I guess. Elwood's doing some underwater fighting when Knox comes through on the boat, but fortunately, this guy is kind enough to act as a shield, which is, you know, we really appreciate that. Now, at some point, Ellie and Elwood get split up. Ellie is on the boat on the backup boat, the escape boat, with Brant, and Elwood gets picked up by Knox on the little tugboat, and they fight a little bit, but then somehow conveniently the two paths of the boats converge, they collide, Knox goes flying. Elwood is now on the boat with Ellie and Brant. Elwood punches Brant a few times, and then they jump off as the boat collides very conveniently with the roadhouse, so, you know, very poetic. We're back at the, you know, title of the movie, so that's awesome. Quickly cutting back to Knox, we see he has resurfaced. He's climbed up to a highway, pulls out a little GTA maneuver. The NPC stops dead in his tracks. We're going to assume he takes that truck. Back to Elwood. He's at the roadhouse dealing with Brant. He breaks his nose and then kicks him in the face for good measure. But, you know, who gives a shit? And now, bam, the Mac Daddy is here. He drives in through the truck, running straight into Elwood in the process, and we proceed to the final tango of the movie. There's a lot of shots thrown. There's booms, there's baps, there's pows, there's kersplickety splats, a lot of crazy camera angles. It's mostly an incoherent mess, but there's a few cool shots, so I appreciate that. Now, for some reason, inexplicably, mid-combat, Elwood says, "Be nice!" Which I think I don't know. I feel like it's not. I think we're past that stage, personally. And then he gets thrown into a piano where we get this beautiful sequence.
This piano's out of tune.
Sounds pretty good to me.
And I really feel that I have witnessed and really heard peak cinema. I think that might be one of the funniest things I've ever heard in my life. Just the comedic beats, the punchline, the setup. Wow, good stuff. Anyway, we progress from foreplay into a little bit of choking. This is Conor's notorious weakness, as we've seen in the past in the UFC. But somehow he actually gets the upper hand. He breaks free and has this stick, a very sharpened stick. I guess Elwood is a vampire now, so that's the only way to defeat him, with a stake through the heart. We don't manage to get to the heart, but we do manage to stab him in the exact same spot as earlier in the movie. Maybe this is like a metaphor, maybe something about character growth or development. I'm not sure. I feel like there's something symbolic about being stabbed in the same exact spot. But just like before, Elwood just powers through it. It's no big deal, and he uses the same stick to stab Knox, and then he stabs him again, and then he gets some more sticks. There's a lot of sticks around here, and he stabs him again, and he seems to die here, but you never know in these movies, right? Then we see Ellie emerge from the wreckage. I'm not really sure what to make of this facial expression. She looks scared, maybe. She kind of looks upset. I feel like she should be happy. I feel like this should be a good moment. And then from behind, her dad pulls up, and I mean, thank God he's on our side now. He's like, hey, listen, Elwood, I got you covered. I don't know how that makes any sense, but apparently there will be no repercussions for Elwood as long as he just gets out of here as quickly as possible. And he does that. We see him waiting at the bus stop, and we find out that the bookstore girl and her father are actually perfectly fine. They really had me going there earlier. My heartstrings were being pulled. I was really upset and sad about that moment. She pleads with Elwood not to leave. She calls him a hero, and he's like, I'm not a hero. She's like, okay, fine, but you're not the villain either. And we get a little shot of her dad with all the money that Elwood stole. And yeah, and then he just kind of leaves, and that's the movie, actually. Also, we get a mid-credits scene. We see Knox revive. He resuscitates himself. Movie was not good. It was definitely not good. I did like the segments in the movie where they were like, zoom, 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 zoom.
Donald Trump 2024.
Let's not go there, please. Anyway, I hope you guys were digging this video. I'm trying to inject some more soul, some more free form, some more freestyle, some more off the cuff shenanigans, for many reasons. Mainly, I'm just really lazy. But I hope you guys enjoy it more.